Good day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Henique Argeru for Women of Truth. We are working to really revolutionize the future of women's health. And today we're joined by our thought leader, Catherine Molloy. She's from Australia, the CEO of AusPac Business Advantage, Australia PAC, also working to provide international training on many levels. And tonight we have a very beautiful concept that we're going to explore with Catherine called mental wealth. Now, if you didn't see Catherine's intro interview, I really would love you to go ahead and have a look at it because you'll get a sense of where she's coming from and why this topic is so important. She said some really amazing things in her masterclass today about mental wealth that is relating back to her own experience, which you can find out in that interview. Something around how important it is to also know that you are sometimes not always aligning, not always in integrity, not always telling the truth, not always actually working on your mental wealth. And this can actually cause a lot of instability. And she explains to you why that's such an important concept back in the interview. And tonight, we're actually going to take a deeper dive. Welcome, Catherine, author, global speaker, trainer, coach, conscious leadership, and even author of 2 books now. And it's, again, such a pleasure to be with you, Catherine. Thanks for joining us.
Wow, thank you so much for having me, and author of 2 books. Yes, it's just about to be released. You're the first person to say that.
Yeah, it sounds amazing because it is amazing, right? And I know tonight's going to be a really special topic because when we first met, you had so many different avenues and angles that you could have taken to teach all our audience members and people in the future that will see this video. And I know you chose this particular one. So I'm really excited, and I'll be here doing this live with you because I know you're going to put us through some hardcore thinking and some real work here with our own process. So I look really greatly forward to this masterclass. Over to you, Catherine.
Fantastic, and thank you for having me. You know, what I've discovered in life is that small tweaks really do make big differences. It's never that one big thing that's going to change everything. It's the small tweaks, which means that, you know, whatever we learn, if there's something that inspires us, you know, inspiration's great, but it doesn't always lead to action. So if there is something along the way that you like, it's worth taking that note and starting to practice it. It means work, and I think that's why people choose perhaps not to take on all the behaviors, to take on all the communication techniques, because it takes years and years of practice. But I just want to let you know, it really does make a massive difference. And, you know, we have all these different things that happen to us in life. And sometimes people set up these amazing businesses with the best chairs, the best tables, the best screens, the best of everything. But what happens is, if we don't communicate well to ourselves, to our customers, to our teams, to our family, it tends to all fall down. And the number one skill that is needed on the planet today is communication. And when we communicate well, it can change everything. And, you know, we think of so many things. We wake up and there's a myriad of thoughts going through our heads, like, you know, what time is it? And what am I doing today? What do I have to wear? Even what am I having for breakfast? Is it Cocoa Pops or Fruit Loops? I'm sure you're not thinking of that. Something much more healthier. But, you know, we have tens of thousands of thoughts that run through our head every day. And these are the thoughts that drive our behaviors, drive our values, and even drive our... Now, you know, are you wanting to run your business or run your life as a leader, knowing that over 90% of your thoughts are the same as yesterday? It's a little bit scary, isn't it? And maybe that's why there's been miscommunication. Maybe that's why there's been projects delayed along the way, because of these 90% of thoughts being exactly the same. Something worth thinking about. And, you know, I think in today's world, we don't need more thought leaders. I truly believe we need more thoughtful leaders. And so it's about being mindful. Being mindful is about being present. You know, we spend a lot of the time in the past, what happened, and this happened to me, and this is why I should be feeling like this, or we're going towards the future, what we're going to do in the next 10 years. And we miss out on that beautiful present, which is right now. And this is where conscious leadership steps in. And this is where we get to make a difference. And, you know, it's about being mindful of ourselves, being mindful of others, being mindful of context of what's actually happening. And I think one of the best places to start being mindful is to be mindful of our values, our core values. No, not the Apple core. And it's not all about value as in money, but it is about the words that we use, that we value, and what we're doing working towards our values. You know, the words you use really do determine the quality of your life. So what are those words that are coming out of your mouth? And what I've discovered is if we live to our values, we actually live on purpose. We create this significance around what we're doing. And that creates a passion, and other people start to see that passion in us. And then they want to lead in and step into their life and into their values too. So I'm going to do a quick exercise with you right now so that you can revisit your values, because I think it's really important going forward in life that we align with our values, and a great little exercise to do each year as well. So what I'm going to do in just a moment is show you a list of core values. Now, you might have a different one to put down, and that's absolutely fine. This is just to get you started. So I want you to have a look at these words, and if you like the sound of this word and it sits well with you, write it down. So I want you to get around 6 words, and I'm going to give you, a few minutes to do this. And of course, you can go back to this exercise after and spend longer, or if you're watching it, you can just press pause while you do this and write those words down. All right, so let's go. Let's write 6 words down that feel good to you. So once again, you can either press pause right now or just go through this with me in this time frame. Okay, so we've got some words coming up on our screen right now. Fantastic. All right, so when I did this, my first 3 words were courage, family, and health. I'm going to talk you through those in a moment. But what I want you to do is to choose 3 of these words, and just 3. Now have a look at your 6 words that you have there. I want you to choose 3 from them. 3 that sit strongly with you, because we tend to remember things in 3s. If I ask you to remember 5 or 6 or 7, you won't remember them, but you'll remember 3, which will make it easy for you to step into those. All right, fantastic. So we have one sharing creativity, honor, and spirituality. Beautiful. So with these words now, what I'm wanting you to do is write down 100% for each word of how you're living into it. So let me explain this. So my top word's courage. So if I wrote down, am I living into that? I'd say around 90%. Because whenever something comes up, I'll step into it. And yep, I'm going to do that. I'll try that. So I can go full in, when my husband wasn't well and we were going to lose everything, what did I do? I found that courage to go into a workplace I hadn't worked with people I hadn't worked with, to get the business up and running. And not only that, then to be able to sell it, etc., and then start my own. So courage is something I could say 90%. But then I looked at family. And I found that family was around 40% out of 100% I was living towards. Because, you know, I had one son in Brisbane who was studying and another at the Gold Coast. And sometimes when I was working away, I wouldn't even send a message for 2 weeks. I felt dreadful. And then I started to message them and I get a message straight back, love you, Mum. Like straight back. And I realized that it's so easy to stay in contact with everyone today. So I think it's important that we do send those messages, and then every second weekend we do this big lunch and everyone would come for a big roast and we'd spend the day together. So it's very easy, you know, if we do lose contact to build that contact back up again. So I was only around 40%, and for health, I'd say I was around 60% because I'm supposed to go to the doctors every 6 months. So I want you to have a look and see, how are you living into that? What would you rate yourself out of 100%, just like I did? All right, so rate yourself to your core value, because then it'll show you if you're not doing something well, and it's going to allow you to build that core value. So let me share this one with you. Once you've done your percentages like I did, now I want you to write 2 actions beside that core value. Okay, 2 actions to make you live into it. Now, if you're at 90% like I was with courage, then write 2 values, or sorry, write 2 actions to stay at 90%. What do I need to stay at 90%? If I start to feel the hairs tingling, or I think, oh, that's too hard for me, I've got to remember that courage was one of my top values. One time I had to step in for another speaker, and I just got off stage in Singapore, had to fly to India all night, get up on stage for 5 hours the next day, and then fly to Delhi for another conference that I was delivering. And I just had to step into my courage, know I could do it. Who needs sleep for 36 hours, right? But with the family, I had to take 2 actions. You know, I had to make sure that I messaged them every day or every second day, whatever I set down, and then to have that family get together. Now my son is in Oxford in the UK, so I haven't seen him for 2 years. So we have to make sure that we, you know, do our FaceTime once a week and send messages throughout the week. So it's what actions you're going to take to build that. And of course, for my health, it's making sure that I log in my doctor's appointments and then I get to them in a timely fashion. So that way I can increase, making sure that I'm looking after my health as well. So what are you doing? I love this. Okay, so we have creativity at 80%. Keep generating group content. Fantastic. And you do that so well. And you know, if you keep generating group content, you're keeping your creativity going. 70% honor, be more aligned in daily actions. Fantastic. And spirituality is at 90%, offer more of my work in this way. Fantastic. It's very holistic, isn't it? And I think when you get to my age and you start to look back, you can see how important it is to have that whole. You know, we are spiritual beings, right? So, you know, take some time and email me, jump on LinkedIn, friend me, and send me through your values and the actions you're taking. Sometimes it's really good to share. When you share information with someone else, it helps them understand who you are. But most importantly about values, I really want you to understand this is, if my value, my top value was honesty, I'm the one that has to be honest. I can't expect everyone else to be. And a lot of times people have these values that they want everyone else to live up to, but they're not living up to them. Okay, so these are your values that you need to live into and not everybody else. However, you may choose partners along the way that share your values, because it does make life easy when you're working together in the same direction. So I'd love to know what you got from this little bit too. Once again, I love feedback, send it through. Taking time to align yourself to your values is pretty exciting. And then you can use those words in everything that you do as well. It helps keep you aligned. You know, the same old thinking, the same old results. So we don't want that anymore, because your decision today create your tomorrow. And what I've learned along the way, studying the mind, and just very briefly, I'm going to go through this with you because you probably have heard about the two mindsets. And the first one is, that fixed mindset where intelligence can't be changed, okay? There's a desire to look smart in front of people. You might avoid challenges, perhaps ignore constructive feedback. I was just working with one of the top coaches in the world, and they wanted me to read something that they'd just produced. And then they said, oh, just give me positive feedback. Well, that's great, but how do we grow if we can't accept constructive feedback along the way as well? And feedback is feedback. You don't always have to accept it, but it's great to know. And sometimes these fixed mindsets feel threatened by success of others. Now, they're saying a lot of this happens, this fixed mindset, from when children are young, up until the age of 8. Someone might say, oh, you're really smart. You don't even need to study. Oh, you're the fastest runner, or you're this, or you're that. And all of a sudden they think this. And then they kind of avoid that challenge in case they look silly or they don't know the answer. Or perhaps if I run that race and someone beats me, I'm no longer the fastest. So we need to be careful about the words we're using so as not to create a fixed mindset. Wow, it really looks like you love running, and with lots of practice, you could do it for the rest of your life. Who knows? Growth mindsets, intelligence can be developed. I can keep learning. There is a desire to learn. It's all really exciting stuff. Sorry about my little clicker. I'll get rid of that clicking noise in a moment. They embrace challenges. How important is that? To have that growth mindset. And that's why traveling was so good for us, because we were continually faced with challenges of language, of culture, all these different things. There's, with growth mindset, being able to accept constructive criticism from other people, and listen to what they're saying, and maybe take time to reflect on that later, but most importantly, learn from the success of others. I love that. If someone's successful, what are they doing? Is there something that, will work for me as well? And when we use this mindset in business, one of those great things to look at was IBM. Way back in the 80s, they started to have a bit of trouble. And what happened was people were climbing over top of each other to look good in the company. That stopped a culture of sharing. And in 1993, Lou Gerstner, he actually came on and took over the running of IBM. And he noticed this fixed mindset. So he wanted to create a culture of growth mindsets. And in 9 years, he increased the value of that business by 800%. So just imagine a lot of businesses that they can increase by 10% in value. It's pretty huge. But imagine increasing by 800%. And so, if you do have your own business, it's important to train, leaders, managers, employees to have that growth mindset, to present all skills as learnable. The business also needs to promote learning and future success and present managers as resources. I've worked in places where people, you ask them a question, that's okay, I'll do it. But imagine if everyone knew how to do that and that person wasn't there. Imagine that if there was a manual with the how-to of those jobs. And this is what's so important. Every single thing on this planet can be learned if somebody already knows it. And if they don't, then it can be like the light bulb where you keep going until you find a way. But then share that information with the next person. We all get to choose to make our workplace, our home life, that supportive, positive culture. And when we do that, guess what happens for our mindset? It becomes radiant. It becomes more glowing when we share. We're not put on the planet to just be sitting thinking of ourselves and what's going to be best for us. Because we're never going to be happy when we're thinking about ourselves, but when we start to share and when we want to look after others and look at the welfare of others and grow others, that's where the difference is. And so let's have a look at some ways to create your $1 million mindset right now. All right, I'm going to stop share for a moment and hopefully everything will flick up nicely for me soon. But what I want to go through with you is this. I want to have a look at the ways we self-sabotage, because we all do it. And one of the ways is when we don't think things in our bones. You know, when we don't think something in our bones, what does that mean to you if it's not in your bones? Now, I've spoken to thousands of people in audiences, and they generally say they don't really believe it, or it's somebody else's goal. They don't really want it to happen. If we want something to happen, we need to sink it into our bones. And I remember the skater, Last Man Standing. He was an Australian ice skater, and he actually won the speed skate. Now, that's pretty incredible. Stephen Bradbury, if you get a chance, look it up on YouTube. It's amazing. And I remember him saying that when he was young, he hated getting up. So he used to put a sticker on his wall that said, "Get up, you're an Olympian." Now, with the Olympics, just because you're the best in the country doesn't mean you get to go. You actually have to meet their times to be able to do it. So you might say he's lucky to be the last man standing when I tell you in a moment what happens, but he had to work so hard every day to get up, to do all his training, his exercises, to even make the time to get to the Olympics. And then he made it right through to the quarterfinals. They had a strategy with his coach. They knew he wasn't the fastest, but he needed to stay standing. So if you've watched speed skating, you know across the ice that quite often they can slip and slide. So he knew he had to be that last man standing. Anyway, he made it through to the semis. They used the same formula, and the next minute he was in the final. He was at the back of the pack, but as they came through, something terrible happens, and the first person slipped before he crossed the line. He took out second, third, created the space, and here came Steve Bradbury. He came through, arms up, because winners always look up. Okay, so if you want to feel like you're a winner when you wake up tomorrow, get those arms up, look up and feel good. And he skated right through. Now, he won that gold medal. Maybe some people say, oh, he shouldn't have won a gold, but yes, he should. He did all the training, all the practice, and he had a strategy to be last man standing. So always think about that. If you want something to happen, sink it into your bones. Put those sticky notes around you so you can see it to make it happen. The next thing people do when they self-sabotage is they get stuck in fear. Now, I don't know if that's ever happened to you where you've got stuck in fear, but it's another way that people self-sabotage. And what happens there is sometimes, and you know, others have told me that they're stuck in fear because they're fearful of what people will think about them. They're fearful if it doesn't work. They're fearful if it does work. So there's a lot of reasons people stop doing things. But when I see the word fear, this is what I think about. Face everything and rise. So when you see fear, I think that might be my little courage thing. Face everything and rise. Don't let fear be the thing that holds you back, that stops you from doing the things you want to in life. You know, I don't even know where my comfort zone is anymore because it's just expanded so much. I don't hold myself back. However, I'm not saying do stupid things. I remember my daughter saying, "Mum, what are you?" She saw me coming backwards down a waterfall, 50-meter waterfall, I think in Vanuatu, with a rope tied around my waist, going down backwards. And I said, well, it looked like it was fun, but I forgot I had to climb the mountain first. And then I ended up in Xiamen, and I'd just been speaking on stage, and I was invited to go to Shanghai, Beijing, or Xi'an. I hadn't been to Xi'an. I really wanted to go to the Terracotta Warriors. So I went and I trained a company for 2 days, and then they took me to the Warriors, and then I had 1 day off. And they said, oh, you should take the cable car to the top of a mountain. It's only, you know, half an hour from here. And I thought, that sounds great, because, you know, the fear of heights, and be pretty amazing being able to get on top of a mountain. So, you know, without all that climbing, I get in the car. I travel out there about 6:30 in the morning. They give me this little backpack. I have water, apple, and I brought some money with me. I only had a pair of Skechers. And they opened the door and they said, here you are, we'll pick you up in 8 hours. I said, 8 hours? And they said, yes, you climbed the mountain. And I'm like, where's the cable car? And they said, oh, no, that's on the other side. They said, you climb and we'll see you in 8 hours. And I think I remember a little bit of water coming down my face that I sort of had to wipe away. And anyway, it was a 3,000-foot mountain. And I remember climbing to the first point. It was only an hour and a half up. And I thought, if that's as far as I go, that'll be great. But I got there and it wasn't that exciting, and I wasn't even that tired. And I remember that there was 3 thoughts that went through my head. One was, well, this is just like business. Just take one step and then the next step and see where you go. And the second thought was, a man came past me with a whole heap of bottles on his head. And I thought, if he can do that, then I'm sure I can. And then when I was halfway up, the next thought that crossed through was, whatever goes up must come down. And then I thought, I need to face that when the time comes. I can't think about it right now. So anyway, off I went up this mountain, and it was incredible. And I remember taking out, so if you went to my Facebook and you went back 4 years, I pulled out my camera and I did a live, because I needed to let my family and people know where I was. There was no one on that mountain speaking English. And I took this video, and then I climbed up the dragon's back, which is quite interesting. I think I might have a photo here to show you. So I speak about fear all the time. I speak about courage. And then I was in Sydney at the start of February in 2019. And I thought I need to get some photos. So I dug into Facebook, put a few photos out of me climbing the mountain. Then I thought I need to get the name of the mountain, Xi'an. There's 5 climbing mountains in China. And when I looked it up on the internet, this is what came up. World's deadliest hike. So when they picked me up, when I was down the bottom, they go, oh, you look so good. Like, I feel fantastic. And I was so surprised. I really wasn't even sore the next few days. But the devil's back is like the cracks of a mountain that you climb up. And I can't believe that it was the world's deadliest hike. Now, if you said, Kath, I want you to come to China and climb the world's deadliest hike, I wouldn't do it. And I would have to have trained for 6 months and all these other things. So sometimes ignorance is bliss too. You know, if someone said to me when I decided to start this business in the crisis in 2008 and 2009, if someone said, Kath, you're going to work 7 days a week for 10 years, there's no way I would have started my business. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that, right? So sometimes it's good not to know exactly what it's like, but that's me climbing up the mountain, and that's one of the sides that we had to go up. Yeah, so it was pretty fantastic. It was amazing getting on top of the mountain. There's little caves that you can sleep in up on top, and it was very, very special times. So don't let fear be the thing that stops you. Don't let fear be the thing that stops you from doing what it is that you would like to do. Okay? All right, I'm going to show you my next one now. I'm hoping that you can all still see me. Yes. All right, fantastic. The next one is the third one. We procrastinate too much. That's interesting, isn't it? When you start to think about procrastination, how do you procrastinate? All right, so a lot of people do very different things. Some people watch Netflix series. Some people go and cook, some people clean, some people wash. Me, myself, I go and make a cup of tea before I start something where I'm procrastinating, and then guess what happens? If I see 12 cups of tea sitting around my table, I know I have procrastinated too much. So start to think about, write down now, what do you do when you procrastinate? What is it that you do? What holds you back? Because all you have to do is acknowledge it, and then you can put a cross through it. Because from now on, when I want that cup of tea, I get it as my reward when I finish that task. Okay, and something else that's really good is the night before, write down 3 things that you need to do the next day. Just 3. If you write a big list, you'll only do the things that are easy and the things that you want to do. Okay, yes, I know some of you sitting there going, uh-huh. So write down 3 things that you need to do. All right. The other thing we do when we self-sabotage is we're not willing to fail. Not willing to fail. Now, what does that mean? And what does that mean to you when you're not willing to fail? You know, a lot of the times people don't want to jump in, boots and all. They just want to dip their toes, and then they go, oh, it didn't work. I knew it wouldn't work. I don't know if you can see here, but there is a shade of a girl on this side. And what would happen if he asked her out and she said no? But what would happen if he asked her out and she said yes? You see, you won't know if you're not willing to fail. So it's really important to jump in boots and all. If there's something that you really want in this lifetime, and if you look at your values and perhaps you're not living up to that 100% or 95% or where you want to be right now, you know, be willing to fail, be willing to write those things down, be willing to step into that as much as you can. Be willing to fail. There's no losing, there's only learning. And the number 5 thing we do when we self-sabotage, we overanalyze things. Is there a few people out there that like to overanalyze things? We don't want to let it go. We need to hold on to it. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't send a live video out. It won't be right. And so then we hold on to it for too long, and then we don't do it anyway. And, you know, if that is you, I just want you to know there's a thing called continual improvement. So it's okay to let it go and then keep going. The most interesting thing is we've heard of Singers Unplugged. Have you ever heard of an author unedited? Well, that's me. This book, The Conscious Leader, we were sent 140 of them for a recent conference for women, but the book, it wasn't ready, hadn't been edited. I hadn't seen it, but they didn't have time, and so everyone has an unedited version right now. So I'm sure I have 140 people that will be editing that for me. But you know what? At least they got it. At least they have the book, and they can start making a difference. So you know what? Sometimes we hold ourselves back. Oh, look at that little shirt. I can be a head on top. And we overanalyze ourselves. So don't do that. And last but not least, and I love this one, and women, we do this so well, we multitask. And sometimes multitasking is really important. I remember having a baby and a bouncer, bouncing a baby while I was, you know, making sandwiches for the other children for school. But, you know, when it comes to work, it's really important that we finish one project and then start the next. And a lot of the times what's happening to people nowadays, it's called burnout. And this is really bad for our mental health as well. All these things that we self-sabotage ourselves with aren't good for us. And some of you might say, hey, Kath, I do all 6 of those. And I understand that. But there are overachievers, okay? But hopefully that you might have identified 1 or 2 that you do. And when we multitask, we actually usually can't do 3 things at once, but we might be typing an email. Then we look at our phone here. Then we pick up something over there. Then we come back to this. And then we're back to the phone. And then we're back to research. And that's where it becomes exhausting. That's where we get burnout. And that's where these tens of thousands of thoughts are spinning around in our head. So if you are multitasking in the fact that you might be doing one email and you pick up 3 other things at the same time, then I really, truly encourage you to just don't do it. Just don't do it. Finish the one thing and then allow yourself to get onto the phone, and then allow yourself to do that other research. Because for our mind's sake, so many people are now burning out. So we need to slow that process down, write out those 3 things that we need to do that day, get those done. You know you've had a good day when you've done those, and then allow everything else to unfold for you. All right, so these are some of the ways that we self-sabotage. And what I'd love you to do right now for me is to pop in the box, which one do you do when you self-sabotage? I'd love to know. We all do something. I think one of the things that I love to do, I just have to swap my view for a moment. I think one of the things I love to do is to multitask is one of mine. So I make sure that I finish my projects first. But let's have a little bit of a look to see what you might do. And feel free to send that through. You know, is it not in your bones? Do you get stuck in fear? Do you procrastinate too much? I wonder what. Do you overanalyze, or are you that multitasker? What's important is just recognizing it and then not self-sabotaging. You know, we can control that and we can stop that. The next thing that's really important to create that great mindset is stop self-sabotage and make sure you smile. Smile each day in that mirror. Give yourself a big smile. Did you know the best you ever look is when you smile? Even if you don't like your smile, it's the best you're ever going to look. So you might as well use that big smile. And stop for a moment. You know, in that morning, give yourself a big smile. Maybe at the end of the day after your shower, just stop, look in the mirror, give yourself a smile. Know you've done a great job, you know. Put your hand up, bend it over, and give yourself a pat in the back. You got through another day. And the thing I love about smiling is that when we smile, we all speak the same global language. You know, there's only 6 facial expressions recognized worldwide. And of course, smiling, that happiness is one of them. So yeah, use that power of 700,000 different movements and make sure that we wake our face up. Number 3 for mindset is really important to check in with yourself. You know, sometimes when the shoulders go over, we don't feel so great. You know, you can adjust your body language in 1/25 of a second. I'm not going through our body language today, but it can change the way we're feeling immediately. Put that smile on, but you'll soon end up back in this position. We need to ask ourselves some questions. You know, truly ask, why am I feeling this way? If it's because of that person, then it comes back to us. What choices are we making? What are we doing? You know, what can I do to make the situation better? And sometimes we really love our job, but you start to hear people becoming negative about it. And is it the job that's the problem? Or perhaps there's something else going wrong in your life, you know? Are you looking after your own needs? I find one of the most important things is that we eat well. You know, when you eat beautiful, great, fresh, living food, you feel better, don't you? It's like putting into a car kerosene instead of petrol. So we really want to fuel ourselves well. You know, what are your favorite foods that are healthy? Are you exercising? Now, sometimes an hour walk can make you feel tired. You know, if you've got a lot on, I'm not saying go and kill yourself with exercise. Sometimes all you need is 15 minutes. This morning I had to speak at a conference. I got up at 6 a.m. in Brisbane. I stayed across the road from the park. I only had 15 minutes. By the time I was finished and packed, and before I went there, I put on my sand shoes and went for a big walk around the gardens before I got in the car to go to the presentation. So Sometimes it's just taking that 15 minutes a day, whatever you can do, take it and feel good about it. Because once you've done that, you'll want to do more. But when you overexert at a time of stress, it's going to leave you tighter. So it's better to do small amounts regularly. You know, are you sleeping well? Some people need 8 hours sleep a day. If I had 9 hours sleep, I probably wouldn't get up. It'd be too much for me. I work well on 7 hours, and I can do a few 6-hour nights, but 7's my optimum. I feel great after 7 hours sleep. So know what you feel best at. So just remember, when things aren't going right, I always think about putting on my armor, sleeping well, eating well, and making sure that I'm getting 15 to 30 to an hour of exercise, okay? So do that for you, because once you are feeling good, everything is easier. Everything is better on the mind. Remind yourself how powerful you are. 700,000 different movements. That's a lot of power. So use it well. Put those shoulders up. Put your head up. Put that smile on your face. All of a sudden, come on, sit up with me. You'll breathe better. You look more confident. You look more alert. You'll feel more energized. And so if we want to create more wealth for ourselves, then it's creating that confidence. You know, when people first meet you, that first connection really does matter. And telling yourselves the positives each day and being grateful. Now, I'm not saying live in rose-colored glasses, but you know what? There is beauty all around you. And we do need to look for that, and we do need to see that. So that mindset, and that mindset really does equal success, okay? So creating that great mindset, that powerful mindset, will lead to success. When I started my book, The $1 Million Handshake, I didn't want to write a book. I never wanted to write a book. Now I help so many people structure their book because strategy is my #1 strength. And, you know, I started to write this 4 years before it was released because everyone kept telling me, Kath, you have to write a book. I had a couple of great experiences, and I remember being in this taxi. I just got off a TV show. I was in a cab, and someone calls me from a book company, and when I got off the phone, the taxi driver said to me, he said, ma'am, do you mind me asking, what do you do? And I said, I'm a speaker and trainer. And he said, ma'am, I think you do more than that. And I said, no. He goes, I think you're an author. And I said, no, I haven't written a book. He said, I hope you don't mind. I heard your conversation. And he said, and I think you're going to write a book. And he said, and I'm so excited because I'm going to tell my wife I had an author in the car today. So I had to laugh. I said, okay, I get the message. But what pushed me over was being able to think, I've been raising money since 2010 for orphans in Uganda. And it made me realize that what if I gave a third of this book to charity? Maybe I don't have to raise money anymore because it's such hard work. And I thought, if I can sell 1 million copies, that's $1 million, which will look after what we're doing for my whole of my life, that I'm alive and beyond. So that was then the drive. So 1/3 of the proceeds from this book go to a Toto. So I'm really have been very excited about that. And the lady you see in the picture here with me, that shirt was actually on my back. It's a silk handmade shirt from Mooloolaba, Australia, with the necklace I had with it from Africa. And she said, I love your shirt. And I had a old t-shirt in my bag, and I thought, I took it off, put that on. I said, you can have it. It looks so much better on you, Mama, than me. Anyway, she was crying, and the children were crying, and they're going, thank you so much for making Mum look so great. And it just reminded me of that. You know how they say, you know, give the shirt off your back. And I've got to let you know, it is one of those most amazing experiences to be able to help other people. And the Conscious Leader that's coming out, because of the first book, I was looking great. There's another organization that we've been working with in India. which is the Bombay Mothers and Children's Hospital for children that are dying of cancer. The doctors have created a whole ward with free medical for them and a place for the family to come and stay and cook the meals at night and look after their children for that whole year. So 1/3 of the Conscious Leader is going there. In 2017, I was made a Global Goodwill Ambassador for the work that we do with the children throughout the world. And I know that when I was in India and I saw Mother Teresa's in Calcutta, and on her wall it said, if you can't feed 100, feed one. And I think that was one of the most important things I ever read. You know, just make that difference in one person's life. It's something we can all do. And no matter what happens in our life, and no matter what happens to the people that we're with or that we see, you know, there are going to be moments in our life. There's a Greek word, this kairos, I don't say it in Greek, sorry, but it's those moments within a moment where everything changes. So let me explain. It's like that oyster shell where a grain of sand gets inside that oyster shell. And what it does, it makes it so uncomfortable. You know, it's frustrating, it's not a good feeling, and it releases this like a saliva around this grain of sand, and eventually it turns it into a beautiful pearl. And I think this is what happens to us in life, you know, these things that are so uncomfortable and even horrible at times, that when we work through it, it actually turns out into a beautiful pearl for us. And I guess this was the same thing that happened when we lost everything, you know, 2 crises ago in the global financial crisis. And I was able to start again and start a life again, where now I've helped millions of people around the world, you know, through mindset, through behaviors, through our body language, to grow our businesses, to increase our communication with families, and to help women unlock their worth. And, you know, a lot of the times it's a little bit like the ugly duckling, where it wasn't an ugly duckling, it was a beautiful swan. And each and every person on this planet, I believe, has that beautiful, beautiful swan. We've just got to look for the pearl in ourselves and in everyone. And what I discovered through life is that I found my passion. I was persistent in everything that I've done, and I've stepped up and I've used courage. So these were 3 things that have been important to me: being passionate, being persistent, and using and stepping into my courage along the way. And this is what got me results. I truly believe if you don't believe in yourself, then others don't believe in you too. So if you can take away anything from today, just believe in yourself. Start to study body language, understand body language, be mindful of yourself, be mindful of others and context, and work with behaviors. We have great workshops around all of these that I would love to work with you on as well. And what it does is it creates a level playing field for win-win results. And that's what we want in life. It's not about win-losing. It's not about trying to make someone lose so you can win. It's about creating win-wins, where everyone that meets you can walk away going, wow, that was a great person. I really enjoyed meeting them. You know, most of us are going to remember 3 things. So here's 3 things I'd like to share with you, ingredients to unlock your worth and create that great mental wealth mindset. The first one is focus. I really want you to know that whatever you focus on grows. If you focus on being unwell, if you focus on being unhappy, then that's what will grow. If you focus on being happy, if you focus on finding joy in moments, then that will grow. The second thing is to self-lead. So the conscious leader is all about setting you up so that you can lead yourself well, and to really understand how to use those tools, because it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But what I know is a great leader is waiting inside of each of us, just waiting for us to recognize how amazing we can be, you know. And you hear all the time, be the leader you want to see in the world. Don't say that person's a bad leader or this or that. What are you doing to lead well? And last but not least, of course, is take action. We need to take action on what we focus on. We need to take action to where we want to self-lead. You know, be that puppeteer in your life. Who's pulling your strings? Who are you allowing to pull your strings? You need to pull your strings. Take that action. Be like the tiger. Wherever you've been successful, feed on that success and let it grow. Roar like a lion. Go on. Have a bit of fun. And you know, I love to ask this question. What if the future of the business and your life was a reflection of you? Well, I'd like to let you know the future is you. And I think that's the big difference. That's why we're here. And to use that great mindset for good. Leadership's not a position, it is a conscious decision. So it's up to us to unlock our worth, and feel free to sing along with me. These are links and resources, so feel free to take a copy. Join me on LinkedIn, with YouTube if you would love to watch anything. And I do have a song for you here, so let me see if it will come on. If it does. I can't hear anything. I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
All right. You could?
Yeah, we can.
Wasn't coming through on mine. I'm so sorry. So, all right, keep singing, and I'm going to leave you with that thought of creating your great mindset for wealth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We had some beautiful reminders of how important our own lives really are, guiding us step by step through our work and through our daily actions. I loved also the multitasking, the always being so ready to procrastinate with a cup of tea, all these wonderful hacks you gave us to actually cutting down this amount of distraction and delay tactics that we use when we're working. And I liked how you framed that inside this whole context of increasing our mental wealth. So thanks so much to this body of knowledge that you've shared with us, and to you with all your projects that you're doing in Africa and around the world. I think it's really valuable to hear about the way that you've applied all of this in the world. And to everybody out there, if you want to know a little bit more about Catherine and her projects, you can also follow some of her interviews with Women Lines. She was actually interviewed by Charu Malhotra, and there's links to that in our Women of Truth group. You'll see more content also from Catherine on LinkedIn, and I know she has a YouTube channel as well, which you see there on that last clip. So we'll be putting all the details here about ways to connect with her books. Maybe you want to get one of those and actually begin to see what are these new little tips that you can start applying in the future of leadership and business. And that last question is something to keep in mind. What if your business is really a reflection of you and the future is you? Thank you so much for all those wonderful words, Catherine. Thanks for watching, everybody, and for spending time with us. We look forward to seeing you in the next Monday masterclass, and keep remembering that we are all here supporting you into a greater health with your life-work balance, in your choices that you make daily, and we are standing by to give you guidance and support if you need it. Thanks so much, Catherine. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.